You ever have one of those nights where you know absolutely no you're about to do something insane and life-changing, but you do it anyway because it's the right thing to do? That was me, Destiny Williams, staring at a crumpled stack of paper I'd just yanked from a trash can on the executive floor at 2:17 a.m., frozen in the harsh glare of fluorescent lights. 3 years cleaning offices at Mitchell Industries, mostly invisible to the people I work for. And now I was holding the smoking, gonna detail plan to blow up a $5.5 billion merger. The one that would secure jobs for thousands of families, mine included. So yeah, maybe I should have dropped those papers back in a bin and gone back to mopping, but I couldn't because it spelled out, clear as day, how someone at the top was about to leak fake financials to the media and tank the biggest deal this company had ever landed. I kept thinking about the people who'd never know what hit them. Mrs. Peterson in accounting, pinching pennies for her daughter's tuition, or Tommy from the mailroom who just bought his first house. They had no clue their futures were hanging by a thread, all because of some backstabbing traitor upstairs. I sat in the janitor's closet, tiny, windowless, smelling like lemon cleaner and resignation, and read every page, hands shaking. Whoever wrote this knew the system inside out. Forged audit reports, fake news, leaks timed down to the minute, all to make Greenstone back out at the last second. In less than 8 hours, the company would be ashes, all those jobs gone, and nobody would know why. You know what's wild? I'm just a janitor. Nobody listens to the cleaning lady, right? I could almost hear my mom's voice, don't get involved, Destiny, let the important people handle it, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. Maybe it was because I've been going to night classes at the community college, dreaming about getting out from under other people's messes. Maybe it was because I'd lost everything once already when my dad's factory closed. No warning, no severance. Maybe I just couldn't live with myself if I stayed quiet. I spent the next few hours on the office computer, digging into everything I could about the merger. The deeper I went, the clearer it got. If this bomb went off, it would flatten not just Mitchell, but Greenstone too. 50,000 jobs, 12 states, both companies torched. Dawn was just a smudge of pink on the skyline when I started cleaning my way up to the executive floor, heart pounding out of my chest. The boardroom 40th floor, all glass and oak and untouchable people, was already buzzing. Brandon Mitchell, the CEO, rolled in right on schedule, black sedan, blue tie, the kind of easy confidence you only get if you've never worried about missing rent. I'd seen his photo in newsletters, but in person he seemed younger, more real, somehow. I needed to get to him, needed him to listen. Security almost turned me away. You're not supposed to be here until tonight, but I told them someone had spilled coffee in the boardroom. The guard rolled his eyes, but he let me through. One chance, I thought. I'd either get him to hear me out or get myself thrown out, maybe worse. At 9:58 a.m., I watched from the hallway as the boardroom filled with power suits, polished smiles, everyone ready to celebrate their own success. Victor Chin, the CFO, hovered over Brandon's shoulder, pointing at dotted lines. The man always seemed to be in the background, late-night phone calls, that kind of quietly dangerous energy. When Brandon picked up the pen to sign, I panicked. I didn't even think, just burst through the doors. "Don't sign the deal," I shouted, my voice echoing off all that expensive wood. Silence. 20 pairs of eyes drilled holes through me, some confused, some furious. Victor was already grabbing the phone for security. But Brandon held up a hand. "Wait. What did you say?" The whole room turned on me. My uniform stood out like a sore thumb in that sea of Armani. I said it again. "Don't sign. I have proof someone's trying to sabotage the merger." All hell broke loose. Board members yelled for me to be thrown out. Victor turned purple. But Brandon didn't budge. He crossed the room, took the documents from my shaking hands, and read them while the whole room waited. I watched his face as it changed confusion, then realization, then something like betrayal. He started asking questions where I found the papers. Who else might have seen them? Victor tried to laugh it off, call me crazy, but sweat beaded on his forehead. Brandon told his assistant, Patricia, to delay the signing and call Greenstone. "We have a security issue." Victor nearly exploded. "You're letting a janitor destroy the biggest deal in our history." Brandon was steady. "If these documents are fake, we'll know soon. But if they're real..." That was it. The meeting was postponed. Brandon had me show him where I found the documents. Victor tried to corner him in the hallway, but Brandon brushed him off, was focused now, determined. I started to worry. What if I was wrong? What if I just torched thousands of jobs for nothing? But I kept thinking about Victor's reaction, how he kept glancing at the exit, and I knew I'd done the right thing. Hours later, Brandon called me into his office, the one with the city view I'd only seen while vacuuming after hours. He was different now, sleeves rolled, tie loose, more human than CEO. "Why'd you come forward?" he asked. I told him about Mrs. Peterson, Tommy, my dad's layoff. They're not strangers to me. I see them every day, even if they don't see me. He nodded, something changing in his eyes. He asked if I'd help investigate team, a janitor, part of the team. "You know the building better than anyone," he said. "You notice things the rest of us miss." He handed me his car direct number and told me to watch for anything weird. Late-night visitors, suspicious trash, anything. That night, everything felt different. My boss, Mrs. Chin, when I showed up for my usual shift, but I just said I'd helped with a morning spill. I paid attention to every detail, started keeping a notebook. Victor Chin was working late, making strange phone calls. Security guys were suddenly twitchy about badge logs. The pieces didn't fit, but I wrote them all down. It was Thursday night, almost midnight, when I heard voices in the conference room. I crept up, phone ready, and heard Victor telling two strangers that the janitor is the real problem. They wanted me out of the way. An accident would solve everything. My blood ran cold. I called Brandon. Security rushed in, but the room was empty. Brandon told me I'd have security shadowing me from now on. I protested it looked suspicious, but he wouldn't hear it. "You risked everything for this company. The least I can do is keep you safe." We talked, just the two of us, about trust, about what makes a company more than numbers on a spreadsheet. He admitted he barely knew most employees' names. I told him that you don't have to know everyone, but you do have to care. Friday, everything exploded. Brandon and I followed Victor to the server room, saw him copying files onto a drive, talking about destroying the merger and making sure I'd have an accident. Brandon confronted him, recording the whole thing. Victor tried to bluff, then threaten, then begged. "We're going to believe the janitor over your oldest friend?" Brandon's answer was simple. That janitor just saved this company. Security hauled Victor away, but not before he spat out something about real business being about winning, no matter the cost. When it was over, Brandon was quiet. I told him you can't blame yourself for not seeing the worst in people. You just don't think like that. He looked at me while I looked and said working with me had been the best week of his life in a long time. The feeling was mutual, but I kept it to myself. For now, Victor's arrest was just the beginning. His partners tried to rope me into planting evidence, but this time I was ready. The FBI, security, the whole building was in on the sting. When the conspirators showed up in the cafeteria, I played my part, then told them the deal was OFFI was wired, the FBI swarmed in, and that was the end of their little operation. The merger went through. Brandon gave a speech, made sweeping changes to the company profit sharing, education benefits, promotion based on talent, not titles. He announced a new consulting division, asked me to run it, said I was the person who saw what really mattered. And he made it clear our partnership wasn't just professional. 6 months later, I was Destiny Mitchell, married to a man who saw me, really saw me, from day one. Our consulting firm was thriving. We'd built something that mattered, not just to us, but to every employee who used to think they were invisible. We proved that sometimes the right thing is the hardest thing, but also the thing that changes everything. So let me ask you, when the moment comes, will you speak up or will you walk away? Because sometimes all it takes is one voice, one act of courage to flip the script for an entire community. What do you think? Was it worth it? Or should I have just finished mopping and left the business of saving the world to someone else? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear from you.